Well, we never get it right the first time.
Mm-mm.
Or do we? I guess we're going to find out because we're going back to dancing in the Christian schools.
Back to dancing in the Christian schools.
The Christian Principles Podcast is brought to you in partnership with the Herzog Foundation. But bear in mind, the views and opinions expressed here are those of the hosts and not necessarily of the Herzog Foundation.
Welcome to the Christian Principles Podcast. I'm Matt George.
And I'm Mark Zockoll. We're talking tonight about dancing again because we didn't get enough of it the first time. With us tonight, Vice Principal Beth Bogger, Chestertown Christian Academy. Beth, it's good to have you here against your will. Let's just be honest. She doesn't want to be here right now. There was no bribing. There was cajoling. There was encouraging. But there was also just the benefit of being able to tell us that we're wrong. I'm sure that drove her to us this evening.
Yeah,
but Beth,
that might be a little bit of it.
Maybe a little bit, but thank you for coming on. Thank you for coming out tonight, Beth, and talking to us about this.
Yeah, no problem.
Awesome. So, Matt, why are we here? Do you know?
Because you want us to be here. No,
it's your fault.
Yes,
your fault.
It usually is.
It's just we gotta talk. Gotta talk.
Yep. We ask for you to tell us when we're wrong. Now, Beth didn't start the conversation with, you guys are wrong. She was kind about it. She approached it differently. But back in episode 116, we talked about dancing at proms in Christian schools, or just proms in Christian schools, and that they can join dancing with them. And in a phone call I had with Beth, actually it was just a text message turned into a phone call I had checking up on you, of course, because you finished your master's program. Well done. Well,
I did. Thank you. Thank you.
One of us is just starting a program.
A second one. Let's be clear.
My.
Already got one. Starting a second one.
So exciting. One of us being Matt is starting this program. We've talked about this for a while now. We've had podcasts about Matt going back to school, and here we are. So
yeah, it's coming.
Yeah. Good job,
Good
Matt.
job,
well
Matt.
done. Well done.
Still wrenching from it.
So Matt is headed back, but having a conversation with Beth, and we were texting back and forth. She finished a program. Exciting. Well done. She then told me, hey, I was looking through the catalog and there was an episode that caught my eye. And of course, Matt, which episode do you think she was talking about versus the one I thought she was talking? I guess I'm asking you to read both of our minds. Which episode did you think I thought she was talking about?
You thought she was talking about the sex ed. I can almost
absolutely.
guarantee that's
100%. Because I was so petrified of those episodes when we did them. Absolutely. And you're right. I was. But Beth, that's not what you were talking about. Not at all. You were talking about something else. Which one were you interested in?
I was intrigued by the dancing episode, the one on, I guess, prom. I'm not sure the official title of it, but
it really was the focus of the episode was, we see Christian schools having prom. We want to find a defense of dancing at a prom. And so we filtered through lots of 4 or 5 different articles, 4 or 5 different schools concerning how they applied dancing or didn't apply dancing, or just some issues that had come up with some schools at their dances and whatnot for prom. And so you had a bit of a counter viewpoint. You had an anti-viewpoint, a different viewpoint than what we suggested. Fair enough?
I like different, not anti. It's like that makes me sound like a horrible person, Mark.
Well,
thanks, Matt.
You are from Cheatertown, as we would say back in the day. Cheatertown back in the day.
Mark. We got to bring that up.
Bring it back
time.
up. So let's define terms here a little bit first, though. A good safe place to start.
Okay.
I say, as our previous episode entitled Prom, what do you call this event at which children at CCA move their feet?
We call it the spring formal.
Okay. So is there a reason you don't refer to it as prom?
We have always had a spring formal.
Okay.
Well, I guess previously it was called a banquet. And so it got changed to a formal, and then we just kind of kept rolling with that. We've never had a prom, and I think that word certainly scares some
Okay.
of the so we stay away from that word.
Okay, stay away from the word, but you don't stay away from dancing at that. What is your definition of dancing at your event? And you don't have to get into like the whole event itself, but just for your event, dancing. What is it?
So at our event, we don't do any slow dancing. So the only types of dancing that we do would be to um, wedding songs like that you would find at weddings that kids would dance to, cha-cha slide, things like that. And then just some fun dancing, but we
Okay.
don't do any slow dancing. So there's no PDA that's
Okay.
happening.
So you maintain the school's handbook stance on
Yeah,
no PDA through the
correct.
evening.
Hmm.
And for you, it sounds like mostly, but not completely, it is pre-choreographed or understood, like the cha-cha slide. You mentioned that previously.
Yeah.
The cha-cha slide has, of course, predefined steps that are supposed to be danced to. Is that the one that's like 1 to the left, 2 to the right? I forget which one that one is, but
I
whichever
don't
one it
even
is,
know.
yeah,
It's one of those.
one of those. So you would be for what, 75%? What is the percentage of those pre-choreographed versus kind of, free play, open swim, whatever you
Probably,
call it?
I would say it's probably half and half.
Okay.
We have a preset list. So, one of the teachers who is very involved in the planning and coordinating of the event, she goes through, and honestly, throughout the whole year, she's adding songs to this playlist. It's all school approved. It's not all necessarily Christian songs, but most certainly songs that would be appropriate
Mm-hmm.
to play. And she just kind of picks and chooses. And then, really, we keep it about half and half. The first year we started it, it was like 30 minutes and it was nothing but those pre-recorded dances or
Okay.
pre-choreographed dances.
Okay.
And then we kind of upped it the next year. And then this past year, we did a little bit longer of dance time.
Now, you say you were intrigued by our take on this, or by the way we walked away from it, or the conversation in general. Do you have any points? Do you have any points from that you would point back and say, I follow you here. I disagree with this point, or this makes sense, this doesn't make sense, or I was challenged on this point. Anything like that from our episode before we dive in to some other points that way?
I think that there's probably just going to be a difference of opinion on probably whether dancing in general is acceptable for a Christian. And
Mm-hmm.
I understand that, and that's like for some reason it's really hard for, you know, us as especially Baptists maybe to even think about dancing as okay. Um so I was just intrigued by some of the takes on it, and I think it's a very important event and I feel very passionately about it. I'm the one that instituted it at our school, and so it's been a great success and I really enjoy it.
Now, you didn't institute the banquet. You instituted the changing of this to
Um,
the formal, to the dancing formal,
Correct.
right? Okay,
Yes.
yeah. So, Matt, do you recall what it is that your walk away was from that conversation? Now, remember, in that conversation, Matt did not know what was coming at him. He came on to that conversation. I had planned everything, and I was just letting him talk. And in fact, we cut out a lot of that episode because Matt just rambled way too much.
Yeah.
It was
That's what I do.
garbage. It was straight garbage, folks. Straight garbage. I was like, well,
Dadgum.
exactly. That's what I was like.
We already have your voice. We don't need more of your just recorded voice.
Well, dadgum. All right, Matt, what were some of your takeaways from that conversation?
That was so long ago. But no, I do recall after we hit stop recording that I immediately wanted to get up and, do some like minuet, like, I don't know, plie, releve, like, because I do remember the articles that we looked at were talking about teaching the kids dances leading up to, and it was a lot of that preparation going into, and I definitely have been one of those that this just is not something I'm not a can of worms I feel like opening up, but mainly because I probably would never be a good dancer myself. But
Oh, don't say that about yourself. Don't say that.
I know I'd probably be amazing, but
You're right. You're right. I'd be amazing.
you know what? Forget it. I'd be the best dancer ever. But what I took away from it was definitely just whatever you do, just have a purpose for it, and
Yes.
go back to the mission. You know, what are we trying to accomplish? And if you have purpose, if you have passion, as Beth clearly has, then yeah, good things can come of it. And you know, you also have to just be ready to I a big thing I've been saying from my teachers lately is we need to respond rather than react, right? If something doesn't go well, then we need to be ready to think, you know, why didn't it go well? But not necessarily just throw the baby out with bathwater. Just think through it and find the purpose that's hitting your mission and is going to, you know, you're going to be successful.
Matt, do you think if you walked into a school where that dance was there before you would have probably just continued it and dealt with the issues that were the issues and the benefits, both positive pros and cons? You think you would have just kept going, or is it, or would you have put the kibosh on it?
I mean, I'm a big proponent of anytime you're stepping into a leadership role to not really, you know, rock the boat immediately. I would depend very much on those that are there or around. And hopefully the person that has been running, hopefully the Beth, you know, is still there. And
Beth
you know,
the
I'm not
Beth.
replacing them because then we're in trouble. Of course, I'd be doing evaluating. I'd be asking the questions and I'd be saying,
Sure.
is this meeting our purpose? Is this meeting our mission? But yeah.
So Beth, you're the one who instituted this, and I remember that I was on my way home from Ocean City when I called you, actually. So that's a 35-minute ride for me, and I try to fill it with a conversation. So Beth, you gave me what 15 minutes or so on the phone, and I was able to ask you then, and I think this was really the only point you perhaps didn't have the answer to. I'm wondering if you thought about this since then. When we were talking in the episode, I was very interested in seeing somebody who had a formal or a prom, whatever they called it, that included either pre-choreographed or just that freestyle dancing, open swim, so to speak. And them having a written I don't want to say reason, but like they had taken the time to set down in writing why this was important enough for their school to pursue, why it was useful. Because this is something that even Matt brought up in the episode was what is the biggest value I'm achieving from this? Is it building of social capital with the students? Is it students building a skill? Is it students building a godly social relationship, learning how to be in that situation and not be bumping and grinding? Like, is it what is the tangible value here? And one of Matt's walkaways was, I would be interested to see if there wasn't something else, and as you just said, that wouldn't rock the boat so hard that I could fulfill this with in a different way. I could get them dressed up. I could take them somewhere where they are enjoying themselves and building relationships, but they're just missing that dancing point. So Beth, either the answer you had or, you know, the one you've thought about since then, do you have something in writing as to why CCA would hold a formal and include in it dancing and include in it dancing to secular music or something like that?
No, we don't actually have anything written that like addresses it. We have stuff written in our handbook about our formal and what that looks like as far as dress code. It has like the standards of everything like that. We have to pre-approve all the dresses. So me and the principal and the school secretary were doing dress checks like pretty much every single day, those types of things. We don't have anything specific though about the dancing portion of it.
So if you were going to write that down, so let's say right now we're making you write that down. What would be the things that you pointed to and said, okay, these are the reasons that this is valuable to CCA, its constituency, myself, these students before God? What are the things you would point at?
So I think one of the things that I was noticing is that we see a lot of dancing in our generation and the younger generation at weddings and things like that. And a lot of it is not necessarily maybe appropriate for a Christian to do. And I think that this is a great type of student enrichment that can really help teach the students that you can dance. Dancing isn't wrong. There's nothing in the Bible against dancing, and that you can do it in a God-honoring way. And that you can have fun, and we don't need to be
No fun.
grinding all over each other.
No fun allowed. There's a no fun zone. Not at all.
No fun zone. No, and that's part of my job as vice principal, is to ensure that our students are enjoying themselves and having these memories that last, hopefully a lifetime. If I was going to write something down, it would be about just student enrichment and teaching them how to be able to dance without being it done in a worldly way.
Okay. And we did see that in those articles, right, Matt? We saw, especially, again, we pointed the classical schools that wrote down. Now, they weren't doing the cha-cha slide, and they weren't having the open swim sort of dance later on to whatever was beeping. They had, it was literally the foxtrot, or it was the waltz, or it was, Matt brought the minuet. It was the traditional English-style dancing, and they were going to build on. And those schools, to your point, Beth, at least, and I'm not saying that you're saying, I don't want to put words in your mouth, so don't let me do this, but you wouldn't hold up the skill building as the strongest reason, I'm sure, as the strongest reason for having this dance. If it was just skill building, I'll do that in PE class with them. I don't need to stress out over dress checks for skill building, right?
I know, but how many of those kids are going to do the foxtrot? How many of them are going to go on and do so, I mean, I understand the point behind that, but there really isn't a reason for it.
I hear you.
Bring that up.
I hear you. I think even in those articles, it was a low level. This is one of the reasons we're going to stack together. We're going to stack this, and then all of those together make up our reason for doing this. And so I feel like you would be akin to them in that way, in so much that you're not saying we're doing this for the skill. You're saying that's one of the reasons, giving them an opportunity to grow in this way that they may come into contact with later. But if you were going to point to the social value of it with this between the students. We want to be God honoring in all that we do. What have you seen amongst your student body during that time and heard from them afterwards? Tell us about the pros from that.
Yeah, so, the first year was definitely a learning experience. We only instituted it for middle school. And so it was only 30 minutes of dancing. I learned a lot from it. And then as we just went on, this year.
You learned how to dance that night or something?
Yes. I learned how to dance.
From your middle schoolers. Great.
I learned who could dance. That's for sure. But
I got to stop you again, because I will say right now, one of the consistent listeners we have on the show, Lauren Draheim's son, was the largest kid in his class, and always will be. And that kid moved. That kid moved and grooved for a big boy, and he loved every second of that open dance floor at the Seaside Christian Academy formals that we had his year with us. So I hear you. That's a great memory. Go ahead.
Yeah. So right now, middle school, we don't even allow them to bring dates, even inside the student body. They just have to go. Now, if they happen to sit with somebody while they're there, that's fine. And then what we have found is that even in the high school, the girls and the boys, we don't even have to say anything. They completely just split. It is girls on one
Puritan
side,
style.
boys. It is boys on the other side, and that's how they're comfortable with it, and we're perfectly fine with that. That one of the things I did have this year is that I had to tell the boys multiple times to put other boys down. They kept putting kids on their shoulders, and I'm like, guys, you can't do that. Put them down.
We don't even do dancing in our formal, and we have to tell guys to put the guys down. That's just the way middle school guys are.
It's the way of the world.
So we definitely have had that, and in the high school, it's a little bit better, but not much. The girls really stay to one side, and the boys the other. I've had one instance of having to tell a kid, hey, we can't dance like that. Only one.
And how many years have you been doing? How many years have you been doing that?
This is I think it's our third or fourth year.
Okay.
I'm trying to remember.
Gotcha. And that kid was
And
outside, was inside, was a date brought, was one of your regulars?
no, it was a kid that was ours. They had
Okay.
transferred in from public school. It was their first year in our school,
Mhm.
and they had been to dances previously, so they were starting to dance that way. And I just had to say, "Hey, we don't do that," and they were like, "Oh, I'm so sorry," and they just went on with the evening. It was fine. So, but that was
Was
the only instance I had.
Now, you being the generator of this, was there pushback from leadership? Was there pushback from faculty or staff during this time? And obviously you did it, so was it you ramrodding your way through? Or well, I don't imagine you did that, but like what talk to us about that. That's interesting.
Um, there was a little bit of pushback. It was kind of a time, so our school has gone through a few different leadership changes over the past, several years. So there was a little bit of a push, and we definitely had to go to the board and ask permission. This was like kind of right after COVID that it was happening, and so the board definitely felt the need for some like type of way to get the student body together and
Okay.
kind of, and so they were for it. I did have some major pushback when at the very end of the night of the first time we did it, we let parents come inside to watch the kids for a couple minutes at the very end, and some parents recorded and then they posted it on Facebook.
Mhm.
And some of the deacons did not like that. So
Gotcha.
I did have a major pushback there.
Mhm.
Had to kind of, the following year, we made sure that it did not go anywhere near social media. But
Okay. All right. Okay, but since then, generally speaking, affirmation, confidence in you, confidence in the team, and Thanksgiving for it.
yeah, it's been such a positive thing from really that first year on out. Just the kids love it. I have kids like literally the first week of school ask, "Hey, what's the theme for the spring formal?" Like they look forward to it all year. It is definitely like the event, particularly the middle school. They just absolutely love it. They love, we cater it for them. We have Mission Barbecue brought in.
Can't go wrong.
Yeah, they love it, and they just, we have a devotion, about after we eat, we have a devotion, usually myself or, our pastor, Pastor Rudy, does the devotion, and then we have about an hour of just fun and dancing, and they have a really good time.
Okay. If you were looking for reasons for you to improve it, for you to make it better, what would you do?
Oh, I'm not sure I could make it better, Mark. It's
Oh,
just,
It's
that's
you know?
perfect.
I'm
It's
I'm chopping
already
that one.
so perfect.
That's getting chopped out, okay? That's getting chopped out.
No, we've definitely, so like originally when we started having like banquets and stuff, we would always like rent a space and like go through all of that. It was so costly. So we now have a fellowship hall, and we have like strung patio like cafe lights in
Mhm.
it, and
Mhm.
it has made it so much better. If I could make it better, I think it would be fun to be able to have it like seriously catered and maybe up the meal a little bit more.
We just said you can't go wrong with Mission
Can't
Barbecue.
go, I mean, everybody does love it, but
How
I mean,
much are you charging for this event? What do you what's the student cost for it?
this past year we charged, I think it was $25 a ticket.
Okay. And that
Yeah.
covers everything you need.
It does. Yeah, they set aside a little bit of a budget of decorating. That would be another thing too. I would love to hire somebody to come in and decorate because it's on me and like one other person. So like,
Mhm.
and the way that we do it is we host the middle school one on a Friday night and the high school one on Saturday. So the decorations are still up and the tables are still up, but I'm in there washing linens and resetting tables and all of that. So it
busy,
gets
busy.
exhausting for me and my little team of people.
Last question for me before Matt jumps in with anything he wants to say. I would be concerned, I was concerned about the walkaway and the after parties because we say that you are you name it, Falcon, Knight, Eagle, Patriot, Lion, whatever it happens to be. You are that with us and away from us. And I could not help but feel that those evenings, especially when I had, the disgruntled high school girl who was told that her dress wasn't where it should be or was for whatever reason ticked at somebody, and so she takes her clique and they go out in this way. I was always concerned that I was setting their teeth on edge a little bit, and I was perhaps setting them up to do something stupid or to go and to act as their peers elsewhere, and giving them a runway to do that. Do you have any concerns with that? Have you had to chase anything like that down from afterwards? Have you thought through that?
No, we really haven't. I'm sure that probably kids do get together, but our event is really well chaperoned. We talk with parents a lot. Obviously, the middle school parents, they have to come and they pick up their child. And so we keep an eye on them a little bit more. The school event, yeah, some of the kids drive and they do have dates, so they take their dates. To my knowledge, there hasn't been like any really after parties or anything like that. Um, and I do have kids involved in that. My son is involved in the high school
Mhm.
formal and stuff. So to my knowledge, I haven't really heard of any problems like that. Now we do live, in the middle of cornfields and there's like nowhere really for them to go, but
Except the middle of a cornfield, Beth. And Matt,
well,
Matt from his time as a high school sweetheart,
We
Matt
don't.
knows
I
those
knew you were
places.
going to
oh
go down that
man,
road.
oh man.
Knew it. Yeah, but
Oh,
Pennsylvania
man.
cornfields, like you could be in the middle of the cornfield, but because of the hills, like you're still exposed. So
Oh, that's true.
doesn't really help.
All right, Matt. Anything you wanna ask Beth here?
Yeah, I mean that's definitely one of the bigger things for us. Is I would feel a lot better knowing that I had parents completely on the same page. That's always the scary thing because wherever, as Mark was saying, wherever you stop it, like it seems to be the parents are like, oh, we'll let you go a little bit further. And
Mm.
then that's what tends to happen either before or after the event. But
I think the big thing is, though, is communicating with parents like, hey,
yes,
the event ends at this time. And so we make sure that we do that. And it's no different than like, hey, the basketball game is over at this time. So you're in charge of your child after this time.
yeah,
And so in my mind, that's how I feel like it's the same. And the parents just need to understand, I'm not in charge of your child anymore.
right.
I want them to make good decisions, so you need to keep track of them after 9 o'clock. It's on it's on you in a sense.
Yeah.
This $25 lasts till 9 o'clock. But Matt,
Exactly.
you mean as much logistically as Beth's talking about. You mean more than just logistics too, right? You're talking about the general willingness of a parent, perhaps, to go and allow
Right.
for further
Yeah, I mean,
debauchery than we would.
with almost any
Debauchery.
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 I'm speaking very generally because even in school you have your dress code or you have whatever standard that you've established, and parents are like, okay,
Yep.
I don't see
Okay.
it that way, but while they're at school they can do that, but when they come
Yeah.
home, they're free to do whatever they want. And we have those serious conversations at the beginning of the year about our standard of conduct, and that applies beyond the school day. And
Yeah.
and that's just a really hard thing to get people to understand and grasp. But the more you communicate it, the more you're talking and have those conversations of why we're doing it the way we're doing it, it it should lend itself to, okay, yeah, we see what you're doing, we're fully behind what you want to
Yeah.
accomplish.
And I think that's where we are right now at Chestertown is like the parents are so grateful for this opportunity for their kids. And they just really absolutely love that we are wanting to do something that their kids enjoy. Like this isn't academic. It's not, it's literally just for them to enjoy with their friends and make memories at CCA. And so, while we are teaching them things in the process, I think the parents are just super grateful and super on board with it. And yes, they are going to take it farther. We've seen that with dresses, and that's why we do dress checks now in person. But yeah, I completely understand what you're saying, Matt. It does happen on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Mhm.
The only other thing I gotta say, because it's just been on my mind, and I gotta say it was on my mind, but
No, you don't.
just the whole time I'm also envisioning, and I really want now to have my kids learn like that what is it called? The haka dance, the New Zealand, like
Oh,
pounding the chest and
Yes.
sticking the
Oh, maybe
thumbs out,
we'll add that this
waving.
year.
Like
Yes.
I'm just a big fan of everybody doing the same thing, and just like giving it all they got. So yeah,
We're
that would
gonna
be
add that
my
one, Matt.
my
Thanks for that
go-to.
suggestion.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Yep.
But then
I'm
CCA
texting
adds that.
the girl tonight.
But then you add that in because that's a whole. But then you add that in, and they're doing it like before games and freaking out the other team before their games.
Hey, yeah.
Exactly. What is it, the All Blacks, the New Zealand rugby team, the All
Yeah,
Blacks
yeah.
who do that?
Yep.
Oh,
Yep.
that is
Yep.
scary beyond all reason. Okay.
It is.
Well, Beth, thank you so much for your time tonight. For those of you listening, perhaps you have similar reasons to her. Perhaps one of the reasons that this got brought up is because, and I know of schools that did this because parents were clamoring for it and they were going to lose students if they didn't do something. And so it was an event. And we can get into the pros and cons of that, the yeses, the nos, the appropriateness or otherwise to react to parents that way. But at some point, we're a business. At some point, we are funded by those who we're selling we're selling a product. We have customers, and so just to completely disregard their thoughts on these matters would be somewhat difficult at the very least. And not to say we should always kowtow and just bow down to the whims, but at some point there's something to listen to there. So I think there's so much that goes into this. You've noted that for your ministry, for your pastor, even Pastor Rudy shows up for it. Is he a part of it?
He is. Yeah.
Pastor Rudy's a part of it. There you go. So obviously leadership is involved. You talked about your board being involved. With that sort of coherence, I think I'm still going to challenge you that you better write something down to make sure it's part of your mission, because everything should be written down that way.
When Beth becomes jelly on 50.
When Beth is jelly, well, is it 50? Is it 50 out there?
13. Well, whatever 50, it is out there, I don't know.
Well, 50 goes in. What's the turnoff at 50? Is it 30? What is the
213?
Okay,
well, 301. 301.
I thought it was 301. Yeah,
then
yeah.
There you
213.
Go. When Beth gets turned into jelly on 301, the next Beth, poor
Chestertown
Lynn
will carry it on.
Yeah, but they're going to carry it on. They might do it improperly because you didn't write it down. So there is our challenge.
Yeah,
there is our challenge.
That's
it.
True.
That's true. I know. I wouldn't say it if it was false. That's for sure. Beth, thank you so much for your time tonight. We're over time. We're going to let you run. Hey, but folks, tell us what we got wrong. Tell us what Beth got wrong. Tell us just how.
Please tell us what Beth got wrong.
Tell us just how
Thanks,
flummoxed and flabbergasted you are that we would even hold this conversation. Whatever it happens to be, folks. Thank you so much. Beth, have a great night, okay?
You too. See ya.
Well, that was a lot of fun discussing these, somebody else's opinion, which, it's Beth's opinion, so whatever. Take it with a grain of salt. But no, we're so thankful for Beth showing up. Let's talk about our Christian Administrator Spotlight. Today, Chris Pinkham.
Chris Pinkham, San Jose Christian School. Way out there in San Jose, California.
San Jose. I really need to get out to San Jose. I've only ever been to San Francisco, really, and I did a little bit. Andrea had a conference one time in the Napa Valley. So I have no idea where San Jose is compared to those places, but that's all I know of California. But I've gotten to know better these Christian school administrators, and Chris is the head of school at San Jose Christian School. Matt, why don't you give Chris set up a prayer for Chris and the things he's going to work through this year, not unlike dancing in the Christian school formal.
Okay, let's pray. Lord, thank you so much for Chris. We thank you for the leadership that he has out there in California. And while there may be an entire continent between us and him, we are connected because you are over all. And I just pray that you would help him and guide him as he's finalizing policies, as he's working with his new students, as he's working with his new staff, whatever challenges he may be facing. Just pray, Lord, that you would work with him, help him, encourage him in any way that he needs encouragement. We pray all this in Jesus' name. Amen.
All right, everybody. It's been a great conversation. Thanks for growing with us today.
Before you go, please be sure to hit that follow button on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Also, on Spotify, be sure to tap the star icon near the top and select the number of stars you'd like to give us. We'd be so grateful for 5. On Apple Podcasts, scroll down to the ratings and review section and then tap write a review to share your thoughts of the podcast. Thank you.